Attitude Change Your Life. Thanks for joining me today. Our guest today is Tanya Brown, sister of Nicole Brown Simpson, who is married to O.J. Simpson. Tanya and her family are nationally recognized for their work with domestic violence prevention, and Tanya works as a life coach, speaker, and an author, and she is an expert in the area of mental health. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Tanya, you were just talking about the importance of taking time for ourselves, for nurturing our spirit, for trying to make ourselves whole before we can give to others. People today are bombarded sometimes with many horrible things. People are dealing with financial worries, loss of a home, perhaps a child who's gone down the wrong path, and they really feel that they're at their breaking point. How can people tell when they're getting to that breaking point, and how can they stop it before they end up in a hospital the way you did?
You know, I think we all know how we feel when we're stressed. We may get that stomach ache, chronic migraines, chronic headaches, tension in the jaw. We become very irritable, moody. We become angry, short-tempered. We're kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now, but in any event, we all acknowledge it. We may get sweaty hands, but I think more importantly, a lot of us become short-tempered and stressed and anxious. And, you know, we all know what that kind of feels like, but we're so used to it that we don't know how to kind of prevent it. And so when we're noticing that we're getting worked up, like say, for example, you're driving in your car and you're hitting every red light. Okay, we all have that. we all experience that. So what's your reaction to that? Are you in the car? Are you getting all angry? Are you getting all short-tempered? Are you getting frustrated? Are you about to, put some road rage on somebody? Who's that hurting?
Right. And if you think about it, you're sitting at a red light.
Right, and it's just a red light. You know what? You're going to get to where you need to go.
Right.
So you might as well make the journey a little bit more easier for you and a little bit more peaceful. So instead of getting worked up, here's a tool. Unclench your fist around the steering wheel, loosen them up a little bit and breathe. Air is free.
We're making light of it. We're talking about a red light, and you and I are joking about that, but you can take the same tools that you use in a situation like that and apply it to something when it's more serious. If you are going through financial trouble, take the time to breathe, meditate, relax, just because really once you get stressed out, once you let it take it to the next level, that's when you're going to end up in a situation like you are.
Absolutely. We have a tendency of allowing the chaos and the stress to rule our lives instead of us controlling it.
Right.
And, it doesn't even matter what you're going through. I'm telling you, if you can just sit back and calm down and, just catch your breath. I mean, we're always going, and then we become unproductive, and we're ineffective with whatever we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So, okay, you lost your job, you're losing your house, you've got a stack of bills with red tape on it, and you're stressed, and you are feeling a little bit uneasy about everything to the point where you don't even want to open up these bills with red tape. But things need to be faced. Can't ignore the issue at hand. So it's sitting back, taking some deep breaths, and we don't know how to breathe properly by taking some serious deep guttural breaths and feeding our brain and our blood cells the oxygen it needs. I'm telling you, you take 10 of those, the stress will decrease. It makes it a lot easier to face the things that you need to face.
Well, and Tanya, too, another thing that I find, and I'm a very in-control type person. I'm definitely a type A personality. And people like me, friends I have and people that I know, we need to have things in order and in control. And when we start to feel that we're losing control and we start to suffer depressive feelings, we always have this attitude we can just say, oh, snap out of it. And the harder you try to snap out of it, the worse it gets. And what would you say to someone who really knows something's wrong, but they just can't get it together no matter how hard they try?
Seek help. I mean, there's the Internet. The Internet is our world's vast library. Sitting back, doing the breathing exercises, the serenity prayer, realizing that, there are some things that we can't control in life. Some things just are. Right. Nicole said something to me very poignantly, and this was in 1992 when I was contemplating staying at UC San Diego or withdrawing. And I worked very hard to get into that school. And she said, and I said, Nick, I don't know what's going on. I'm so depressed, and it was one of my bouts of depression. And she goes, I don't understand why I'm having a hard time. And she said, I want you to write this down. And this is advice from my sister Nicole, so cherish this. She says, delete the need to understand. We don't need to understand everything. Some things just are.
Mm-hmm.
So for all you type A personalities, there's certain things that you can control and there's certain things you can't. And we don't need to understand all the time what the reason is behind that.
Which goes back to the serenity prayer.
It goes back to the serenity prayer. Reading that every once in a while. I have friends of mine in AA, and they send it to me. I send it to them. It's like, hey, remember this? And it keeps you focused on really what is at hand. With people who need to control everything, it's learning learning how to adapt in life, learning how to be a little bit more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that needs to be a goal for some of the type A's who are listening to this program. Get online, look at resources, get a book on how to be more flexible and allow other people's suggestions, opinions, learning how to delegate. Once you learn how to delegate and relinquish some of the control, you will be amazed at how much stress will be reduced from your life. You're feeling easier.
Tanya, what about the stigma that's attached to mental health issues? What about someone's spouse or friend who looks at that person and wants to just say, just snap out of it, get over yourself, get out of this. There's this stigma that's attached as though people have the power to just snap out of it, and they don't. And I know you want to remove that stigma. And what would you say to those people?
Yeah, this is, have the courage to talk about it. My parents are war children. My dad was a bomber pilot in World War II. My mom was a little girl in Germany running from people like my dad. And, so you had nothing to do other than to survive and have that survival mentality. So my mom and dad couldn't understand what I was going through. They saw their kid slowly dying, basically, and there's nothing that you can do. And it's kind of like an alcoholic. You can't make somebody do something that they're not willing to do or can't see. And so when I was depressed, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't, there was no strength. There was no pain I had ever even felt like. It was just insurmountable. And so for somebody who is feeling the distress and the despair, and they're going down that road, but they're afraid, fear is the number one reason why people don't want to come forward, because they're scared. Well, I'm telling you, you'll be more scared when you got that gun in your hand or a noose tied up because you want to end your life. Because you know what? Your life will end, and those around you. There are people here to help. Life doesn't need to be such a struggle, because once we start talking about it,
mm-hmm.
We lose that control of it. It's like we're letting it go. And they're not alone. People, you are not alone. If you are listening to this and you're down and out and you are me where I was 6 years ago, I encourage you and I speak to you with my heart. Speak up about it, please. And call NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and they will be able to direct you to free resources in your community. It's free for everyone. There's family to family to educate and empower the family members who have loved ones who are suffering from mental illness. And then they have peer-to-peer who are the ones who are suffering from the mental illness and need that support from one another. You are not alone. Joan, when I went into the group therapy in the outpatient program, that was my family. They were the only ones that got me. That was my safe place. That's where I was able to divulge everything with no judgment, no criticism. Group therapy saves people. The number one thing that holds people back from getting help is, I can't let anybody know that I'm depressed. Right. Why not? If you've got any excuse right now, it's today's day and age. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's okay. You're human. I don't want anybody to end up where I ended up or where some of my friends have ended up in rehab. Please, just if you or your loved one, and I'm crying because I've seen that, because I've seen that dark space.
Right.
I've seen it, and I don't want anybody to ever experience it. And I went through what I went through so I can share this encouragement with other people and say, yes, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. But I'm telling you, if you go through it, you will never have to go through it again.
Tanya, I can't believe that we're out of time already. There's so much information for us to cover. Where can people go to get more information about you, your work, and what you're doing with your efforts with mental health issues?
They can reach me at on the web, tanyabrown.net, Tanya Brown without an E.net, and then my email, tanya@tanyabrown.net.
That's great. And as always, our listeners can visit our website, CYACYL.com, which stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. And in addition, I'm very pleased to announce that Tanya is going to be writing a column for the show's magazine, which is called Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. You can read that online at the website. Again, that's CYACYL.com. Today our guest was Tanya Brown, sister of Nicole Brown Simpson. Tanya works tirelessly for mental health issues, and it is such a pleasure to have you here, Tanya. I really do enjoy talking to you. I think you're doing wonderful work, and I look forward to having you back again in the future.
Oh, I look forward to it too, Joan. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
This is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.